2018 is going to be a big year for films, and there's certainly going to be some fantastic gems sprinkled throughout. But they can't all be winners. So here are the films that we think are going to disappoint us in 2018. If you enjoy this video, be sure to hit the subscribe button and click the bell to be notified when we upload fresh content. The Insidious franchise has so far managed 3 fairly enjoyable horror films on the whole, proving to be some of the most solid films released in that genre for a long time. However, the 4th entry in the franchise could change all that. First off, there is the fact that the film does not appear to deviate from the series' established formula in any sort of meaningful way, not really trying anything new, instead continuing to rely pretty heavily on jump scares. But that's sort of what modern horror fans enjoy these days, so gotta be more wrong with it than just that. Well, how about the fact that it's coming out in January? When you think of scary movies, what time of year comes to mind? I'm going to venture a guess that it's probably the fall and not the beginning of the year. And if you look back at previous horror films released in the winter months, you would see that there's not a lot of them that you would exactly call classics, and there's a reason for that. See, January is what is often referred to as a dump month, or a time of year when studios choose to release films that they don't see as being particularly good. However, every once in a while we do see a film released in January that is pretty good, so it's not 100% a stinker. I'd still be weary going into it though. Oh, Tomb Raider, I had such high hopes for you. The cast looks amazing, and everything that I heard about you just sort of made me optimistic that there might finally be a good video game film. And then we got that trailer. Whew boy. Ignoring for a second the fact that Tomb Raider is indeed a video game film, which in on itself probably spells doom for it, it just does not look good. The trailer is a cringeworthy mess of cheesy lines and cliche plot points. Oh, what's that? We can't possibly write a character with personal stakes in the story without saying that the world is gonna end? That might be the single most overused plot device ever. Making this even more sad is the fact that the film clearly takes inspiration from 2013's Tomb Raider reboot, which is one of my personal favorite games of all time. While it did have the whole magical MacGuffin element to it, the story was arguably more focused on Lara's own personal journey and having to come to terms with what she must do and who she must become in order to survive. But instead, we get the same tired old story, and this whole world-ending thing is just plain lazy. Now this is one that you either completely agree belongs on this list or are kind of angry that I'm putting it here. Solo, a Star Wars story, has had a very troubling production to say the least, having lost its directors a good portion of the way into principal photography, which is never a good sign. Couple that with the fact that the film underwent extensive rewrites, massive reshoots with its new director Ron Howard, and that the film star Alden Ehrenreich was assigned an acting coach, things aren't exactly looking so good. Now is it possible that these issues could be ironed out before the film's May 25th release? Sure, it could wind up being a pretty good film, but it is definitely worrisome and something to be hesitant about. Basically, I'm saying that you shouldn't get too hyped because it might ultimately burn you. Now this one's a bit shaky for me because realistically it could go either way. But for my money, I'm guessing that the odds of this film being disappointing are higher than otherwise. First of all, looking at Sony's track record with superhero films doesn't exactly do much to inspire confidence, with the 3rd and final Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie basically killing the franchise, forcing a reboot, which in on itself turned out to be very much meh at the best of times. And let's not forget that it's a Venom film without Spider-Man, which just seems wrong on some level. Also a tad concerning is the fact that the film's director, Ruben Fleischer's previous directing credit, 2013's Gangster Squad, was released to a resounding from audiences and critics everywhere, which isn't exactly a good thing. But he did also direct Zombieland, which was good, so it's kind of hard to get a read there. Point is, this film is very much still up in the air, so just kind of keep an eye on it. For X-Men fans, the Dark Phoenix saga is one of the most beloved story arcs in the history of the series. So much so that when Fox attempted to adapt parts of it in X-Men The Last Stand, a lot of people said that the film couldn't possibly live up to it. And yeah, they were definitely right about that one. And now over a decade later, they're giving it another go. And does anybody want to take some bets on how that's gonna turn out? Fox is pretty inconsistent with the X-Men series. For every X2 or Deadpool, there are Origins Wolverine or Apocalypse, the latter of which having ended a pretty good streak of films, serving as a disappointing follow-up to First Class and Days of Future Past. And this film having to once again adapt such a grand storyline could be setting itself up for failure, especially given the fact that it is the directorial debut of Simon Kinberg. Now admittedly, Kinberg does have quite a few credits for writing and producing, but those skills don't exactly translate over to helming such a big project. It could turn out that it's too much for the rookie director, and that's just not something that anyone wants. Hopefully this won't be the case, but I'm not gonna hold my breath. So now that you've seen my list, what films do you think are going to wind up to be ultimately disappointing in 2018? Leave your thoughts down in the comments. Let's kind of get a discussion going on this one. And if you're watching this on Facebook, be sure to click the link to jump over to our YouTube channel for more videos like this one. Thanks for watching.